These cameras right here are the best designed film cameras that money can buy. Oh my god. Oh, there's film in here. Well, but I'm gonna be completely honest, they are not perfect for all kinds of photography. And if you use a lens that is tighter than a 50mm, say for example a 75mm, those frame lines are very tiny. Try shooting on a 90mm on an M6, I dare you. If you want to shoot on a more wide open aperture in broad daylight, well, good luck, because you might need an ND filter or you might need to shoot in the shade, because the shutter speed caps off at 1/1000th of a shutter. But limitations are fine, that's where art can thrive. But sometimes it's cool to have a couple features at hand, but you don't want to shop for a Nikon F, or you don't want to shop for another camera system. You still want to have Leica glass. But what if you can actually have the legendary Leica glass look and a couple more features to help with your photography at a price that is less than 50% of a Leica M6? Well, let's talk about this camera, the Leica R8. So the Leica R is the camera brand's 35mm SLR cameras. So obviously the body design is very different because they serve different kinds of functions, but the optical formula that goes into the M glass and the R glass are identical. Your 50mm Summicron on your M6 is going to look the exact same as the 50mm Summicron on your R8 if they are in the same generation. But there are a couple features that really do shine, and the reason why I picked up this R8, and that is that it has a 1/8000th of a shutter, which is extremely fast for a film camera. I think the first digital camera that I personally owned that had a 1/8000th of a shutter was the Canon R5, and that came out in 2020. The Leica R8 also has something that I have never used in my film photography, and that is auto functions. It has aperture priority, shutter priority, a full auto, and a manual mode. It also has different meter modes and a multi-exposure mode. And obviously, compared to a rangefinder, with an SLR you get to actually see what you're about to photograph. With the Leica M6, the frame lines are pretty accurate, but when you do get your negatives back, you actually find out that you get more of an image right outside of the frame lines, say for example for the 28mm frame lines. And composing through a narrow gap, sometimes your rangefinder is clear when you're composing, but your lens is actually blocked by something else. That's a really rare occasion, but it does happen sometimes. And with an SLR, you wouldn't have that problem. So yeah, on paper, the R8 is kind of an interesting buy on my end, but the first time that I took this camera out, it was a very goofy experience.
It's hard shooting with the 90, dude.
Were you doing shutter drag?
No, I was just like aiming at people. A shutter dragging in this light is impossible. Oh, I think I got the top of your head from that dodge. Oh, I'm out. No.
No.
Dude, did it rip out the sprocket? No way it would do that. No way it would do that. That's as free can be, bro.
Was it like that before?
No. Oh my god, did I just rip it out? That's the end of the video then. Dude, this is not in the... It's not in there.
Is there film in there?
No, there's for sure film in there. And I was whining the entire time.
This is why you shoot digital, kids.
I think this is messed up.
He just ran away.
There we go. Great.
Alright, so obviously this camera is not perfect. Not only is its appearance not the greatest thing ever, that rewind knob, it's such a nitpick, but this rewind knob is too smooth. I'm so used to having my film cameras having quite a lot of tension when I'm pulling on the film and then it releases and then it gets all loose. For this, it is so well built and designed that it's smooth throughout the entire rewind method that when you're actually done rolling up the film, you almost can't tell when it's done. Okay, that is such a nitpick and that probably won't bother most of you, but the real dislike that I do have is this grip. This camera is huge enough already, it's quite heavy, so why is there not an actual real grip to this thing? It's still kind of like bricky, like an M6. An M6 is almost, you know, uncomfortable sometimes to hold because it's just a round block and you have to pinch it sometimes. But for this, it's like, you don't get that much better. Like, why, Leica? And the next dislike that I have is the lens options when you're shopping on the used market. So like when you're shopping for lenses for your Leica M6, there are tons of generations of every focal length out there possible. And yeah, they have their different characteristics if you want that more vintage look or you want that more modern clinical look. But with the Leica R line, it gets a little bit complicated because they started introducing complex electronics with the developing generations. So the thing that I dislike is that you need to know what 1 cam, 2 cam, and 3 cam is. I think technically you can use any lens that you want on an R8 or an R9, but if you don't have a 3 cam lens, the electronics don't communicate properly and you can't use those auto functions and the metering is inaccurate. So basically you would be walking around with an analog experience, but the body still runs on a battery, and if that battery dies, then well, the camera's useless. So if you can roll with that, just carry around a light meter.
Never seen that happen.
Me neither. That was
great. Just the light was so perfect.
And obviously this camera is not all that bad. There are some really good features about this thing that can really work with the type of work that I do. And because I started off with nitpicking in my dislikes, I want to start with nitpicking in my likes. The sound of this camera is beautiful. Like, listen to this. Ooh, that is so smooth. I think there was film in there too. The viewfinder experience that I've had so far is pretty nice because of how large and bright it is as well. Although for my copy, I wish I didn't have the split prism. Sometimes it's too distracting and making me feel like I'm forced to get the sharpest focus possible. And like I said before, I never really worked with auto features before. Even when I was rocking with my digital cameras, I always went full manual mode. But for this, with aperture priority, when I'm shooting really fast on the street, it's actually so nice. And finally, that 1/8000th of a shutter is so cool. And some might be saying, but dude, you don't even shoot sports. You don't need that fast of a shutter. But I actually do shoot sports. And sometimes it's really nice to shoot wide open too. Most of my work is deep depth of fields, no complaints there. But if I can shoot wide open, I'm not going to complain. And before we close out this video, I would love to thank the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. Squarespace provides some of the industry leading tools for making a portfolio for photographers like us who want to be taken seriously. I recently renovated my website to be more focused on my documentary work. Squarespace allows a lot of customizability from their award-winning templates to something as simple as changing the background to black. I love how my website feels more mature, and if I have any questions or problems, I know I can contact the 24/7 customer service to get myself squared away. You can start a free trial today at squarespace.com squarespace.com/ChrisChew. Use my code ChrisChew at checkout for 10% off your first purchase. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. So in conclusion, who is this Leica R8 for? Well, I would say that if you already own an M line, like an M6, and you've loved it and you've used it for years, and you don't want a second M6, well, this Leica R is going to be perfect for you because one, it's less than 50% of the price of a whole M6 kit. Two, you could still get the same Leica look through an SLR experience if you really want that experience back compared to your rangefinder. And three, you could use those longer focal lengths that you may not have been wanting to experiment with on your M6 because those frame lengths just really suck to work with. And the other person I would recommend an R8 or an R9 to is the person that really wants to get into the Leica line, into that whole kind of like ecosystem of photography equipment, but they just don't have enough money for an M3, M4, M6, and so on. So a Leica R8 and 9 is a great place to start because, again, out of all the things that I said, you get the look, you get beautiful auto features, and you can just have fun with like a very beautifully built machine. And that's all I have for you guys in today's video. I'm going to make more photos with this and more videos with the R8 and show a little bit of a workflow between how I use my two M6s and an R8 in, I guess, harmony. And yeah, look out for that video. Have a happy new year, everybody. This is the end of 2024, and we got some new stuff in 2025. So I will see you in the next video and in the next year. Peace.